In today's video, we will explore the early access title, Tank Squad, starting with a brief overview of the game as a whole before diving into more detail to help you decide whether the game is worth wishlisting to keep an eye on its development or indeed whether to make a purchase right now. Tank Squad is many different games all rolled into one, so let's take this one step at a time. In a nutshell, Tank Squad gives you the feeling of being a tank commander. Although you can control your tank in a War Thunder arcade style, this game focuses on commanding your tank while also commanding a squad of infantry as well as other tanks and off-map support such as artillery, Stukas and Nurberwerfers. Not only that, you have the option of controlling one particular role within the tank, such as the driver, gunner, radio operator or the commander, with a lot of detail in each role, such as the gunner adjusting their sights depending on the range of the enemy, as well as choosing from a selection of different shell types, whereas the driver will have their hands full adjusting the throttle of the tank. And bear in mind, all of this can be viewed through first person within the tank, or a more casual third person behind the tank view. So yes, you can play this as a casual War Thunder style, where you use WASD to control the tank and your mouse to shoot. But where Tank Squad really shines is changing the settings to become more of a tank commander simulation experience, with a first-person view having you give commands from inside your tank while wondering whether the enemy is on the other side of your hatch, or sticking your head out of your cupola to shout orders to your supporting infantry, calling in an artillery barrage, or even grabbing an MG for yourself and mowing down enemy infantry. Not only that, but you can play with friends, where you each drive your own tank around, or even each taking a role within the same tank, working together to progress through a mission. And if that wasn't enough, between missions there is a tank mechanic simulator experience, where you drive your tanks up to a crane, take them apart, and repair them ready for the next battle. Do you see what I mean now when I say this is many games rolled into one? So, to be blunt, if you're looking for your next War Thunder experience, technically this game can do that, but there are better options out there. However, if you want a tank commander simulation experience you can play with friends, Tank Squad has a decent offering. That is a bit rough around the edges, but is still in early access, receiving regular updates, and is priced reasonably well. So if the game is so great, why are there so many negative reviews? Well, the game launched in May 2025, and the developer admitted that it wasn't ready. But they did also explain there was a falling out with their publisher, and it was a case of releasing the game in a state that isn't ideal, or give up and don't release the game at all. This is also why the game doesn't say it's in early access when it is effectively an early access game. I won't go into the full nitty-gritty detail, but suffice to say, most negative reviews are from when the game had just released, but it has got much better since then and seems set to continue improving, so I suggest focusing more on that. So, let's discuss the visuals, as there are a few things to point out here. The environment doesn't look bad for a game that's early in its life cycle, and doesn't charge much either, but let's be honest, it doesn't look great. The thing is, the environment did look better previously, but there were issues with performance that led the developer to reduce the quality of the environmental graphics in order to improve performance. It is what it is. You can see the visuals as they are right now to decide for yourself. However, I will point out that the tanks themselves look good, and they are the stars of the show after all, so that has to count for something. As things stand, there is a German campaign and a Soviet campaign. Each contains a whole bunch of missions, each containing multiple objectives, such as capturing a town or destroying anti-air guns, so you can call in air support. Between each mission, you manage your tanks, crews, infantry, and off-map support, using currencies to repair vehicles, including captured enemy vehicles, as well as training up your infantry. When you include the fact that you can do all of this with friends, it adds a nice layer to a decent offering. Actual tank combat can vary from arcadey to simulation, depending on your settings. When set to simulation, it is definitely a challenging game, where you can be one-shotted completely out of the blue. For example, you'll often want to send your infantry up ahead to scout for anti-tank positions and tanks so you can pick them off from a distance. When you score a hit, or indeed get hit yourself, a familiar X-ray replay will appear so you can assess the damage. Shots will ricochet, as well as simply not penetrate, depending on the armor you are facing and the gun you are using. Your tank can be damaged in many different areas that affect your tank in many different ways. If your tracks get damaged, you'll have to hop out of your tank mid-battle, potentially mow enemy infantry down using your MP40 before getting a wrench out to repair the tracks, before rushing back through your hatch before you get killed. Yes, there is also a first-person shooter element to the game, although it's very basic. The tank-on-tank combat is definitely a challenge, though, which punishes you for rushing. If you enjoy a methodical and patient, strategic approach to your games that requires you to utilize different tools at your disposal, such as flanking with your brother tanks, calling in a smoke barrage, or sending your infantry to scout up ahead, then Tank Squad has much to offer you. Another thing Tank Squad does have is a bit of a wicked learning curve. I went through all the training, then booted up my first actual mission, and didn't have a clue what to do. There are so many different modes, different settings, different ways of controlling your tank, let alone the other tanks and infantry around you, that it's all a bit overwhelming at first. So at first I thought the game kinda sucked, and I can totally understand those who have only played for, say, an hour might think the same. But I stuck at it, did some research, did the training missions again, and after a while it clicked. Then it became great fun. As you sit there atop a hill, head poking out of your commander's hatch, surveying the battlefield, sending your fellow Tiger tanks left to flank, your infantry up ahead to flush out the anti-tank guns, calling in devastating artillery before charging in to take the point. But then you start to take hits, a Molotov cocktail gets thrown onto your engine, you pop smoke in front of your tank while screaming at your driver to get it into reverse. You engage the fire extinguishers around your engine and order your troops to fall back, as you can't afford to lose another Tiger. When all of that clicks, this is a great game, albeit rough around the edges. If you have any questions about Tank Squad, please feel free to ask, or if you already own the game and have some additional information you'd like to add, please let us all know in the comments below. If you found the video useful, please leave a like for the algorithm gods, and if you enjoy RTS games, grand strategy, city builders, or simply this style of review, consider subscribing for more content, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.